Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Hashtag Leadership, What's on Your Mind. Happy New Year, everybody. This is the first episode of January, but I'm very open and honest on the podcast. We are recording this in December, so it feels a bit weird saying Happy New Year. But remember, guys, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on your podcast provider. We've got an amazing array of podcast guests coming up. Remember, we want to add value to your leadership journey. We've got amazing guests with amazing stories and experts in their field. So without further ado, today we are speaking to Mike. How are you doing, sir?
Hi, Stuart. Yeah, I'm very well, mate. A happy new year, I suppose.
Yeah, it's like with a question mark on the end, isn't it?
I know, it feels weird. It's only just the 1st of December and we're saying that now. Yeah, it's a bit weird.
I know. So
I'm good, mate. How are you doing? Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. I was going to just cover off the fact of we've got you on because you were put in front of me, which was a great credit to yourself of the impact you're having out there. And I mentioned to our audience recently that last January we had inspirational people that thrived in 2020, thinking that might have been a one-off, and obviously we know that has continued into 2022, and really the focus for the January-February episodes have been to bring inspirational people on to share their stories, to really get people to think in a positive manner. So obviously you fit into that category. Credit to yourself. So Mike, as I hit the 20-minute timer, for the people who don't know who you are, tell us who you are, what you do, and then we'll get into it.
Yeah, okay. So, hi everyone, my name is Mike Dunn. I'm the Managing Director and Founder of Excel TM Group. We specialise in construction-specific telemarketing and lead generation, which doesn't sound, let's just say, it doesn't sound the most sexy job in the world. I think for me, I'm blown away by the fact that I've been included in something like inspirational leadership. But I'm born and bred in Chester. I've got 4 brothers, married with a little girl. Yeah, I'm pretty much an open book. Anyone that wants to know anything about me, they can do, really, mate, to be honest with you.
Yeah, amazing. And I know we've had a little chat, an introduction before doing the podcast, and you're only down the road from me as well, which was obviously hence why the introduction. But so let's get into the questions. So obviously we're Hashtag Leadership, what's on your mind? What comes to your mind when you think about just the word, the label, the tag leadership?
Good question, that. Everyone has different ways of being leaders, and you read these inspirational and motivational posts about what leadership should look like. People that don't bark orders, people that help the team, and you see the photos that are made of like the men on the rowing boats where this is how it should be done. But I think leadership is, for me personally, being a leader is about understanding and listening, more importantly. I've learned from some brilliant leaders, but I've also learned from some people that are poor at leading. So it's good because when you get that balance, you're able to understand what would work for you and what wouldn't. For me, leadership is just about being able to control the situation and being able to make sure and show people that maybe when things are up against you, you're able to overcome them things. And you're able to, whatever the situation may be, you find a way around it and you become resourceful. That's why I think of leadership. Amazing.
Yeah, and that fits into my category of what you just mentioned there about helping people improve their self and situational awareness. And staying with you for the second question, because I love hearing where people go back to in regards to where did your leadership journey start? Is it on reflection now? Or was there a light bulb moment at the time where you thought, right, this is my leadership start? Where are we going back to?
It's a really good question, that. Because I've got so many life experiences which have made me more resilient as a person. I'd probably say, I can't really sit here and lie and say I've been a big leader in the past. I'd say I've helped people. And I think even a couple of people that I work with have said, when they started with me in a previous job, I was one of the people that went over and said, you can do this and you can find a way around it. But I've got to say that probably Excel TM Group, setting up that business, being able to go through COVID and be resilient in that instance, but also help people with jobs and people that have never been in the industry before, and making bad situations fun and showing people that when times are tough, there's a way around it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. And again, that's where there's a lot of talk and content and reference to like leading in a crisis, or leading in ambiguity, and leading, and you said yourself, in those people that will show up and turn up and not necessarily lead from the front, but lead by example, and lead by creating that environment. But yeah, I know your story is full of that. So tell us a little bit about how you've got to where you've got to right now.
So basically, my background is predominantly sales. My family were all construction background. You know, my old man was a builder by trade. His dad was similar. Sorry, and I was never really a hands-on guy. I'm more office based. You know, if I get a paper cut, I think I've got a nail in my finger, and I admit that. You know, but I've basically gone from I've done sales ranging from kind of MB&A to legal to construction, B2C, energy, etc., etc. And in 2019, as I mentioned recently on another podcast, me and my wife had quite a few bad months. I had a bad bill of health. My nan's wife passed away, and obviously, unfortunately, we lost a child. It's a baby, so it was a bad couple of months, bad year. And in January 2020, after me saying to my wife for years, I've got to do something. I'd watched so many ex-bosses. I would be open and honest and say not be right to the way they were treating people, and really mistreating good staff, you know. So I always said to myself, I can do this, but it's taking that plunge to do it, and you've got to, it's all or nothing. And anyone that knows me will have heard this story over and over again. It was literally a case of all I need is a mobile, a whiteboard, and a laptop. That was it. I said, I can do it from that. I had two of them. I had a mobile and I had a whiteboard. And I had 20p in the bank, so I couldn't go and buy a laptop. You know, my credit score wasn't the best either. So I had to straight away think on my feet. A really good friend of mine who I've mentioned before in the past, Paul Billington Dykes, he was the one that said, look, I've got a laptop here. You can help. Paul was someone that at the start of the journey really helped me. He sat down with my business plan and went over everything, and really put things into perspective, as did my auntie. She's helped me out no end with my accountant here as well, my accountancy here as well. So in January, we set up the laptop, the whiteboard, the mobile, and off we went. And it was going great. You know, you've probably seen, unfortunately, I lost my nan on the 27th of January, very suddenly. And that was a massive knock to me, because my nan, she lived 2 doors down from us, you see. So that's the first moment of being an entrepreneur, if you like, that you've got to go, right, I've got to be resilient, got to keep going. There's no bereavement time off. There's no time off to mourn. You two options. You either let your business sit there and fester, or you get on with it. So that was the first real impact moment of running a business, when I had that jerk reaction. I was like, Jesus. And then obviously it was going well. We had clients on board. And then in March, everyone knows, we were hit with COVID. Now, as a new business who'd only been going for 2 months, there was no furlough, no grants, there's none of that. It's kind of, you're one of those situations where they go, well, you're gonna have to do what you can or try. So I had 2 clients on board, and I said to both clients, look, if I work for free, generating leads or building databases for you, would you consider staying with us? Or I've got a small family, would you consider taking me on? Anyway, both clients are still with us now, and they're with us right up until next year. So straight away, it's that finding a way around the problem. And I'm surprising myself, to be honest with you. I did, honestly. Even I was like, Jesus, I can really do this. And that's kind of the Excel journey. It was, and everyone's seen the photos of it. You know, it was me on my own at home in a back room. There was no money put in. There was no grants there to help. It was just, you got to get on with it. But then when you fast forward to now, which I'm sure we'll talk about, there's a team of 21 of us now. And being truthful and honest, the reason we've grown so quick is because my experience in the industry, and I'd like to think the way I was treated in the past by previous bosses, etc., help guide people here. My team are absolutely phenomenal. I've got a brilliant team who get involved, who help each other out constantly, who are there for each other all the time. So I've got to make a massive thank you to them. But another reason, probably the biggest reason in all this, is my wife. She's literally stood there with me the whole way through this, because we've had some real tough times since the business set up. Really tough times with even things like ex-bosses like tweeting about us. And honestly, you wouldn't believe some of the stuff we had to go through. And
I know, and again, I'm conscious we've only got 20 minutes and we're already halfway through. And I've obviously seen, after seeing your being introduced to you, the journey, and that was why I was so passionate about bringing you on, because it's been so quick. You've had some really good recognition from where you're at, and I know that you're not where you want to be yet. So to the fact that you've managed to get to 21 and you're where you are, that's a massive credit. And I can see similarities in where I was, like recording this now. This time last year, it was pretty diabolical at the end of lockdown, and it affects everybody, and especially in the infancy of your starting the business, which made it even more challenging. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about growing a team. How was that? We haven't got long.
Yeah, God, anyone that has a business, anyone that started a business up, or anyone that's been in a similar situation will tell you that growing a team is one thing, but growing a team coming out of a global pandemic is another. Yeah. You've really got to understand that everyone got affected in different ways. Some people lost family, some people lost friends, some people lost their jobs, some people's confidence were knocked, some people had families who were really affected by it. So what we tried to do here was, I was really lucky. I had a great team manager that come on board in, Ellie, who had worked with in the past. One of my best friends joined the company on the business development side. My brother works here as well, as so I was lucky in the sense of I had the right people in the right places. So I could sit here and say, oh, I did this, I did that. That's not true, because this goes back to the leadership question. I trusted the people in positions to do the right thing. I hate micromanagement. I've been there, been through it. It's not leadership, it's tyranny. It's, you will do what I say and you will do it like this. Whereas I'm more, okay, this is how I want the business to be perceived and look. But really, we've all got to be singing from the same hymn sheet. And we've had staff, who've left. We're quite lucky. We haven't lost a huge amount. We really haven't. But the guys the team managers, the head of business development, the account managers, the senior account managers, they all play a role in that team being grown. Constant training. We brought in a head of people and culture, and that's been, for me, that's been one of the best positions we've ever done, because Jen, who's the owner of Moda PR, has been a friend of mine since we were young. She understood, she got it. She was from the same sort of industry. She'd worked for businesses that had been, where she'd been mistreated, where she hadn't been happy. So she came in and sat with all the team and said, look, what makes you want to work? What makes you want to work here? What makes you happy?
What was the reaction to that question? Because that's not very often you hear that from a business, a leader, a business owner. What was their initial reaction to that question?
Well, I didn't ask them. Jen asked them. Jen asked them confidently. And it was really interesting. And it was eye-opening, because I come from a sales background where we're always incentivized by beer or wine. And a lot of them said, I'm not pushed by this. And it was really good. And at first you take a bit of a hit and you go, wow, I wasn't expecting that. Because this is the problem. A lot of people think they're always doing the right thing. And the fact is, you're not always doing the right thing. And you've got to sit and you've got to listen to your team. Because without them, there's no company.
Yeah.
I think, and that's where I get a bit of imposter syndrome. Because I'm the MD, and maybe the one that I'm the face of, but these guys are the ones coming in. And if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have the campaigns,
Yeah.
So that's why it's important for me to know, like, how do I get the best out of these guys? How do I go above and beyond for them? So we did things like Deal or No Deal, where we had a massive monthly incentive where they could win vouchers and holidays. This month we're doing, I'm an account manager, get me out of here. And we're doing weekly trials. And then today we've done the public vote trial and it's constantly finding ways where we can go, right, what's going on this month? Okay, it's children in need. Let's do something there. Do you know what I mean? And asking them questions really opened doors for me and made me realize that everyone has different needs and wants. And once again, your initial question was about leadership. That's where you have to be a leader and show people that the only way you're ever going to get people to follow you is to pay more attention to them than you are to yourself.
Yeah.
I've got my office. I hardly sit in here. I'm out with the team because I hate the thought of having an office with the doors closed and you can't come in. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It doesn't. People just go, that's so 90s or.
Yeah, and I know one of my next questions was we spoke about this when we first connected, but how do you, because I know you're quite visible in your business, and that's what you kind of alluded to there, that I think that's a big thing in modern or it happens a lot in tech companies or younger companies, that you mentioned that meant that old saying of my door's always open, and when you actually dig into it, it's not open at all. It's nailed shut. How do you create the environment that you have in your business? I know that you're quite, I like to say, visible in the business, but in your words, how do you create that environment?
In the sense of, how do I create that trusted environment?
Yeah.
Just listening. I've got kids, so here if it's your birthday, you take the day off. I don't want to see if it's your birthday. If it's the anniversary of someone's passing, take as much time as you need on that day. If you need to take the day, fine. But if you need to go to the graveside in the morning, do it. If your child's sick, don't you dare put a holiday form on my desk. I want you to go and make sure your child is being looked after. And I'm very public about that. I don't hide anything from the team. If something hasn't gone right, if there's a client that isn't playing ball, I'll just tell them. And it creates that level of, there's no secrets. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I get it. There's certain things you can't tell everyone. But at the same time, I go, well, what if I don't tell them when something's not going right? I'm just going to sit in my office all day, and then they're going to feel like an approach me. Yesterday's a prime example. And I'm hoping when January comes, I'll listen back to this. And I'll be able to go, God, I remember that. Yesterday, I had a day from hell. There was a client that was having problems with the invoice. They couldn't pay it. Payroll. I was open and honest with all of them because they could see I was a bit stressed. And I was blown away by some of them coming to me saying, calm down, you're going to be all right. So that's where you've got to go, yeah, okay, I should be doing that. But when your team are coming to you doing that, that's where you've got that fair balance. That's where they're almost showing you how you normally are. And that's what I love, is that rubbing off of going, you're going to be all right. And we're okay. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Tell us a little bit about your recent experience of going through the awards ceremony thing, because that was really good to see from an outsider's perspective, because you get that recognition so quickly. Right. It's relevant as well. But what was that experience like?
You know what? I don't say I lost. I was in the final with some amazing entrepreneurs. So I was in the final for Service Industries Great British Entrepreneur Awards. Great British Entrepreneur Awards, and it was the Service Industries of the Year Northwest. And I told my wife and I told friends, I don't think I'm going to win. I said, I'm not upset by it. Hasn't hurt me. But I said, if I don't win, I want to lose to one man, and that was Lee James, because we've become friends. His journey's incredible. And I was sat next to the chairman of Lad Bible. I was sat next to the founder and owner of King of Shaves, Will King, and Hugh Chappell. And I was sat on the table with 2 winners from that night. So I didn't lose anything. I gained fantastic connections. I gained the knowledge from people who had won awards, built huge companies. I couldn't believe it was, for me, to go through all what I'd been through, all that trouble, all the stress of COVID, I'd achieved more than most people have in 5 or 10 years, and I'm less than 3 years old at this point. You know, like I say, I lost to someone I now class as a friend, but I'm happy with that. I can live with that, because that was my reward was just being there. Yeah. Will I enter again? Yeah. Will I win? I don't know, but I can always say I went there, and I rubbed shoulders with these amazing people. I got to meet obviously Stephen Bartlett from Social Chain, and Dominic McGregor is his business partner, who I'm really lucky to say he messaged me on Instagram saying, like, let's go for a coffee. So some people might go, okay, but for me, I'm talking to people I've admired, I've watched for years. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? I was in another world. I'm still kind of getting over it now, but it was an incredible experience. So one I'm extremely proud of, and one my little girl can look back when she's on and say, wow, my dad worked hard to get that. That's what this is about. If you're doing this, any business owner is doing this because you want loads of money, women, or the cars, you may as well stop, because any business owner will tell you it's a lonely, lonely, lonely place.
Yeah.
If you think you're going to be out,
it's funny, like listening to you talk. Then you mentioned a couple of times early on about you mentioned luck, and it's like creating that environment that we questioned about as well. That I'm in that big thing of like creating those rooms where you sit in them. And you mentioned about imposter syndrome. I like the reframe of that, about if you're not experiencing that, you're not pushing hard enough, or you're not putting yourself in the environments where you're going to meet these people, you're going to learn from that. And again, this podcast for me has been that kind of, let's bring these people in, let's share these stories to inspire people to go, actually, yeah, I need to push a little bit harder, and I need to take a little bit, like if they took 5% of your journey and your passion and your drive and some of the things you've created, they'd be a lot further down the line. So amazing.
Yeah, I say to everyone all the time, like my friend Paul Billington Dykes, he's done amazing in business. He messaged me the other day and he was like, I'm really, you've done so well, you're leaving this mark on your industry. And for me, that meant a lot. But I said to him, this isn't about money for me. This is just about leaving. I can't take it with me. Can't. You can work all you can chase all your life. Yes, money makes you happy. Yeah, money's material happiness. Of course, you want money because it gets you nice things. You get nice things, you feel better. It's natural. But I didn't come with any money.
Yeah.
I didn't have thousands and thousands of pounds in the bank when the day I set up.
Yeah.
Couldn't even afford a laptop. I can't take it with me, and that's really deep. Yeah. But if I'm more bothered about my little girl growing up and saying, "What did my dad do? How did he make an impact on people's lives?" And that sounds really cheesy, but it's the truth, because when you've been through so much, in the end you think, what can I can't take any of this with me anyway. So if I'm building something now, yes, I'm going to be stressed, but I've got to keep going. I've got to keep digging. I've got to keep being me. That's what this is about. Leadership for me is that.
Amazing. That's 20 minutes. What a great finish to a podcast and to start this year off. So guys, if you enjoyed that, make sure you let us know in the comments below. Give us your feedback. Remember, this year, I always, like last year, always value hearing the little bits and the little nuggets of information or the inspiration that you took from each of the episodes. Like we said about leadership, it's different for everybody. If you haven't already, make sure you follow us on your podcast provider. Make sure you subscribe on the YouTube channel if you're watching us. And Mike, thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. If anybody wants to, no, honestly, more than welcome. Thank you for having me. If anybody wants to follow the company XLTM Group, or anyone wants to follow myself on Instagram, honestly, feel free to. Or if anyone ever wants to come and have a coffee and meet the team, we're an open office. You're always welcome to.
Fantastic. I mean, all your links will be in the comments below, attached to the YouTube and the podcast. So, Mike, thank you so much. And ladies and gents, I'll see you all next week. Take care. Bye.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.